Hey everybody, this episode is being sponsored by BadderSports. Once we hit 500 subscribers, BadderSports is donating $5,000 to Toys for Tots. Please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to visit the foundation of Toys for Tots and feel free to donate yourselves. We look forward to another great year for Toys for Tots and another great year for BadderSports. Thanks so much for being a fan, and we love being a part of great organizations. Hey everybody, welcome back to Swing Batter. I am your host, Brendan. I'm joined by Todd and Dad. And Dad, the lottery won again. Who do you got for us today?
Oh, we got a great one. We got that dynamic right fielder, Jason Heyward.
He's dynamic, all right.
I like that. I like dynamic on a resume, dynamic on an outfielder. Dynamic means good things. So when they obviously... Jason was amazing. He was so dynamic, so great. How did we get to Jason Heyward? What do we know about him?
Oh, Jason Heyward, he came up in 2010, and he was a pretty impressive young man. At the age 21 in the Atlanta Braves, a thin right fielder who he hit .277 in his rookie year, stole 11 bases, and hit 18 home runs. In the meantime, he finished second in Rookie of the Year voting. In the second year, he did what we call in baseball the sophomore slump. Didn't do quite as well, got disabled. But in the third year, he came back. He was healthy, replenished, played 158 games, hit 27 home runs, batted .269, stole 21 bases. In the next 2 years, his home runs dropped. His batting average never got above .271. However, he did steal 20 bases in 2014. The Braves signed him to a 2-year, $13 million contract, but then they traded him to the Cardinals. And in 2015, with the Cardinals, the final year of his contract, we see this a lot in final years of contracts. Jason Heyward hit .293, stole 23 bases, hit 13 home runs, and entered into free agency. That's the beginning of the story.
What was his age? Do we know his age when he entered into free agency?
Well, he must have been about 25, I'm guessing. He was 21 when he came up, and he became a free agent 4 years later, so 25.
26.
Okay.
26. So we're avoiding the cardinal rule in BadderSports, which is you don't sign batters to long contracts after they turn 30.
Okay.
He is
avoiding that.
Great age. Great age.
Yep.
So I'm going to guess that Jason was once a Brave, and we all know the Braves make terrible decisions, so the Braves came right after him.
Well, this breaks the second cardinal rule of BadderSports, which is never, ever, ever, ever sign a player after the Braves dump them. And I think it's only worked out with like Freddie Freeman, right?
They didn't dump him.
Well,
they got outbid for him.
It was a very sad.
Oh, that's different. That's different.
Sad story for another day.
So the Cubbies come in, hot and fresh. If you're the Cubs, you're thinking to yourself, this is what I want to do. Okay, what I want to do is I want to buy 23 million Chicago deep dish pizzas for every year for 8 years. Or I can put a human-shaped black hole into the outfield. I'll buy the human-shaped black hole.
And now, the Cubs at the time needed help. They wanted to get over the hill and win it all.
No,
and not done that in forever.
Yeah.
Boston already broke their record. I believe the GM for the Cubs was the GM for Boston.
Well, that's why they brought him in.
So they have complete faith that he knows exactly how to build the team and exactly how to break the spell.
Yeah, so you look at this guy who's got a career batting average at .262, and hey, let's make him the highest paid outfielder who's ever lived.
Todd, was there do you know if there's competition for him in that free agency?
I didn't look at that one. That was one of the ones I didn't really kind of dive into as far as what the competition was, because I can't believe anybody wanted to compete with the Cubs on this. I mean, the Cubs went so hard in the paint on this.
It's ridiculous. His highest salary was $9 million, and the Cubs went in at $23 million for 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
8 years. And he can opt out after 2018 if he's performing really well.
Yeah, like that'll never happen.
Yeah, in 2019, if he had 550 plate appearances, he could opt out. Here's the thing. He gets a signing bonus of $20 million that's deferred and is paid out $5 million a year starting in 2024. So if you're watching this and it's 2028, guess what? This is the first year the Cubs have not paid Jason Heyward since the beginning of this contract.
Future us want to thank you for watching.
Right.
And we also appreciate the fact that Jason's going to get paid for quite a while on this contract. This is a great contract if you were going to look at BadderSports, only because of what he performed and how he did, but the amount of money is pretty crazy. They did lock him up. They do have player options that he can opt out, which is typically about that 30-year-old age limit that you want to have as a player. So if you're performing, you opt out, get another 10-year deal, which is great for him.
Yep.
And everybody's happy with that because you want him to play well, so he does opt out. So the Cubs felt protected. He's going to play good. He's going to opt out, and some other team is going to come in and just sign him for another $200 million.
Sure.
The only problem is he never hit 270 again. He went under that 1 year at 230. He hit 21 home runs once, often hitting less than 10. And the one thing that they really liked, his speed also stopped. He stole 11 bases in his first year and has not stolen over 8 since. So everything
but Dad
went
won
down.
a Gold Glove in 2016, and then he won one in 2017.
Well, good. He's catching fly balls in Wrigley Field, if that impresses you.
Okay.
Apparently that's all he's doing.
For $23 million.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
How were his strikeouts? I'm sure his strikeouts, he was a big contact hitter, right, Dad? Strikeouts were never like crazy high.
That's one I wasn't prepared for, but I can certainly find out. Not a big strikeout guy, usually striking out about 60 times a year. I mean, so he wasn't he wasn't a home run hitter, so he did hit the bat on the ball, but, if it goes into players' gloves, I don't know how good that is.
Hey, listen, it's not often you can take warning track power and turn that into generational wealth.
Yeah, especially warning track power at Wrigley.
Yeah. With the help of some aids, with the help of some supplements, you can hit beyond warning track power. Jason clearly didn't do that. There's no 60 home run effort. There's no Sammy Sosa trout.
So that means the player option's not being taken.
Right. No. He doesn't qualify for it. Yeah.
He's content with $23 million, as most of the people in this room would be.
Right. And they actually paid him to walk away.
Oh, that's even better yet.
I mean, this is like, if anything says BadderSports, it's let's pay this guy to walk away from the contract. So
how did that happen? How did that happen?
They said, here's $22 million, go away.
Oh, yeah.
It's like paying your ex to just not show up at your house anymore.
Plus the $5 million a year for 4 more years also on top of that, right?
Well, that's baked into that, right?
Oh, okay.
You already wrote that off if you're the team.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the guy robs home runs. He robs the Cubs bank account. But don't talk to Chicago fans about this guy because they love him. Because in 2016, they had that rain delay in Game 7 of the World Series. And apparently Jason Heyward brought everybody back to the weight room. Most shocking thing to the team at the time was the fact that he knew where it was. The second most shocking part of it was that the guy turned into the team's version of Newt Rockne and gave a speech that apparently caused them to get so revved up that they ended up winning in the 10th inning. And they blamed Heyward for it. So the Cubs, trying to convince everybody that this guy's worth $184 million. Like, see, if we had $1 for every year we didn't win the World Series, we still would not have paid for this speech. Tony Robbins somewhere is very jealous that Jason Heyward got paid $184 million for the speech he gave.
What was his batting average in that World Series? What was his leadership?
It's the intangibles, Brendan.
I know. I just want to know how
does it matter anymore?
How did he perform? I mean, I'm sure he scored like 20 runs. He was like the MVP candidate. Because usually when you give a speech, everyone's like, yeah, let's listen to that guy. He's really performing well. I want to hit like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think like most TED Talks, when you look at the actual performance of the person speaking, it's not up to snuff.
They're good at speeches, not good at delivery.
Correct.
So his batting average was a measly, very pathetic.
Was it lower than my cholesterol?
Probably.
I'm Harry Carey. If my batting average was my cholesterol score, would you sign me?
For $23 million. Dad, looks like you're processing most of Jason's Heyward's wonderful.
I'm trying to find his statistics, and I've got 8 sections about his speech. So,
well, that's because if you look at the statistics, there's a fire next to it because his nickname is the Great Chicago Fire Part 2, because this speech was just so good and his stats were so bad.
The one stat I do see that in that important Game 7, Jason was 0 for 5.
Well, for those that don't know, I can answer my own question. He batted 150 in the World Series.
I assumed it was rhetorical.
Leading up to get him to the World Series, he batted 083, 063, and then 150. Not only was he a leader leading them into victory, he was the leader that no one knew they needed because no one noticed him on the base because he never was there. And he didn't make any outfield performances that were amazing. I'm sure the Cubs fans are going to tell us that they couldn't do it without him. He needed to be there. He was the guy. I'm sure it had nothing to do with their pitching, nothing to do with their closers.
He was so good at defense, he defended himself from ever having to live up to the contract.
So because it happened in his first year. 2015 is the first year of his contract, and they won the World Series. So he literally got the buffet treatment.
He did.
Where you get served food all the time, and it's like, we don't care what you do. We want a World Series. You get the gloss treatment, the glass, the mirror, the funky mirrors that make you look great.
Yep.
It didn't matter. He was great forever.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't finish with the Cubs. The story doesn't end where he's a Cub and they put a statue in front of Wrigley of him giving a speech, which is all they should do because they shouldn't give him a bat.
I keep thinking of that scene from Rudy where he gets in the locker room and he starts giving the speech. We're going to run around the middle, boys. We're going to run by. He's going, and he's talking about that. And I'm just imagining Jason Heyward in the weight room going, guys, we can do it. We just got to ignore what we've done for the last 108 years, and we got to win.
I'm new. I'm fresh. Giving you that fresh vibe.
Who would sign this loser?
The Cubs. He was the missing piece.
After 2023, Cubs void his contract. Who signs him? Because you said it's not the end.
No, I don't even think he ends with the Cubs. I believe Dad, what is the story of the Cubs here? The Cubs ending is not beautiful.
Well, no, the Dodgers just went and scooped him because they were playing with the Cub money.
Well, the Dodgers are usually so economically efficient.
Well, it actually worked out. They let the Cubs pay him, and they stuck him in the outfield, and he did what he usually does, strike out a lot. But he was a fourth outfielder when they wanted him.
My favorite part of this contract is how it ends. So I know it doesn't end till 2028, but his last year of playing for this exact contract ends in the playoffs in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks sweep the Dodgers, and he finishes that playoff with an illustrious 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts. His batting average in the postseason is epic. I know, Dad, you always tell me the postseason isn't real because they're facing the toughest pitchers and the toughest times. He's played a lot of postseason games. He's had a lot of at-bats. I think he's a 148 postseason average. And my favorite part about that series in 2023 is when the Diamondbacks beat them, as my father and I predicted would occur. Don't watch the tape, but we both believed once that we drew the Dodgers, this was inevitable. Jason was the key to our success. He really was the engine that made it go.
It's really nice when you're playing a team and you look at batting eighth and you know he's an automatic out.
He's like America's Got Talent. He's got this magic trick where he can just make millions of dollars just disappear.
Hey, let's give Jason credit. He got the most out of his money.
That dude got paid.
People in Chicago still think he's worth it because he gave a speech.
The best
he didn't do anything to win the game, by the way. He didn't get any big hits in the 10th inning or anything, but he gave the speech.
Yeah.
For the Chicago fans out there, we look forward to you commenting, because I know for a fact when Jason shows up in Chicago, he doesn't have to pay for a meal. He doesn't have to pay for a beer. He doesn't pay for anything. He gets all of that treatment and then some, because he was part of the 2016 championship team. And for that, the Cubs love him. So we would love your comments. Do you feel it's still a BadderSports contract? Because it is. I don't care if they won the World Series. It's a terrible contract. I don't believe he was the reason you needed him to win the World Series. Disagree with me if you want. He wasn't the key ingredient to the success story. But the Cubs believe he was. I'm sure I'll get lots of hatred, which is perfect. If you guys have another player you'd like to suggest, please put him up there. I'm always open for more suggestions of players that didn't perform, but this is definitely a BadderSports contract. This is BadderSports moments through and through, and I love the fact that he's still paying for the Dodgers. So this year in 2024, when the playoffs occur and the Dodgers get bowed out by some team because Jason Heyward goes 0 for 12, 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts, told you. That's our episode. That's my dad. That's Todd. And that's BadderSports. Thanks so much. Bye now.